Ashley is a stewardess. She finds this cute puppy running around in the airport. 3 people come over and claim to be its owner. Can you guess who's telling the truth? This guy. His tattoo matches the dog's name. Ashley walks to her flight gate and passes by this waiting area. But then the gate changes, so she has to walk through that place once again. Ashley spots 10 differences. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley is checking passengers' passports before letting people on board. Suddenly, the security service calls her with a warning. One of the passengers is using a fake ID. Ashley finds 3 suspects. Can you spot the fake passport out? There's no February 31st, so this passport is definitely fake. Finally, the plane is taking off. Ashley takes a look at the passengers and spots 3 odd things. Can you see them too? This lady has 2 safety belts. This guy is talking on the phone. It should be put in airplane mode. And the view behind this window doesn't match reality. There's no hot lunch on this flight, but you can buy it additionally. The price for chicken is set at $15, and the beef costs $12. Can you guess the price of a fish lunch? The cost of one vowel is $5, and the cost of a consonant, $1. Fish has 3 consonants and 1 vowel, so it costs $8. One of the passengers, Josh, calls Ashley. He begins to complain. Someone had stolen my phone when I was in the toilet. Ashley questions 3 people sitting nearby. What happened when Josh was away? Chelsea says, "Sorry, I was watching a movie, so I didn't look around at all." Bobby says, "I was reading a book, but I think I heard the sound of a rustled plastic bag." And Nina says, "I was sleeping. You woke me up with your stupid questions. Who stole the phone?" Nobody. It's still in Jeff's pocket. Ashley checks the business class passengers and spots 1 witch among them. Can you see her too? This lady is hiding a magic wand. Ashley lands in a foreign country and sends her boyfriend this message. Can you guess what country she's in? Singapore. Ashley goes to her hotel by train. She sees these 2 billboards on the way. She can't decide if they're identical. Can you spot any differences? In fact, there are 5 differences. Ashley goes to the local restaurant. There's an open kitchen, and she can see the chef at work. Ashley makes an order and leaves for the ladies' room for a while. When she returns, she spots 10 differences in the kitchen. Can you see them too? Here they are. Ashley sees a group of office workers having lunch together. Suddenly, their boss spills hot coffee on his laptop because his palm is stuck to his mug. One of these 3 co-workers prank their boss. Can you guess who? It's the lady in the middle. She's wearing double-sided tape as a bracelet. Suddenly, one of the guests in the restaurant faints. The manager calls an ambulance. The doctors arrive very quickly and take him to the hospital. The police question witnesses. The cook says, "This guy didn't order any food. He just asked for a glass of water." The waitress says, "He looked so gloomy. I decided to cheer him up and served his water in a silver glass." The manager says, "He called us in advance to reserve a table in the corner. He insisted that I must send him an official invitation." And the cleaner says, "I saw him washing hands in the restroom. I swear he didn't have any reflection." Can you guess what happened here? The guest was a vampire, and he got sick because of the silver. Ashley is visiting the local farmer's market. A group of tourists asks her to take their pictures. One of them is not from this planet. Can you guess who? This lady. She's eating a pomegranate with the peel. Ashley wants to chill at this beautiful beach, but she sees a zombie among the guests. Can you spot it too? It's this guy who's reading a book upside down. Ashley goes hiking and gets lost. She finds a sign that shows 3 possible ways out. Unfortunately, each path hides some danger. There's a toxic marsh that swallows people on the first path. The second path is a hunting place for vampires. And the third path holds thousands of venomous snakes. Which way is more or less safe? Ashley should choose the second path. Vampires only hunt at night. Ashley, Nellie, Sarah, and Melissa are coworkers and friends. They land in Paris and come to a party together. But at a certain point, they find out that Ashley had disappeared. She was locked in the basement of the music hall. Can you guess who did it? It was Melissa. Pink sequins from her fancy dress lay by the door. Ashley receives this rebus from her boss. Can you guess which country is her next destination? She's going to Belgium. Ashley is packing her bags for the trip. How many emojis can you see here? Here they are. Ashley is having breakfast at the airport. Can you find any emojis in this food? There are 3, actually. In the waiting area, Ashley meets her old school friend, Kelly. They go to the local coffee shop to chat. Suddenly, Kelly begins to yell, "Please help me! My suitcase is gone!" Ashley questions 3 witnesses. One of the passengers, Paul, says, "This is my suitcase. I've already wrapped it in plastic to protect it from scratches." Nina says, "I went to the restroom and asked the barista to look after my luggage." And the barista says, "I looked after Nina's luggage and I didn't look around. Sorry." Can you figure out the thief? It's Paul. There's a sticker with Kelly's name under the plastic. Ashley enters the plane. There's an imposter among the flight crew. Can you help Ashley find this person? It's this stewardess. Take a look at her uniform. The air company logo is a little different compared to all the others. Ashley lands in Brussels. She walks into the local park and takes 2 pictures. Can you find 10 differences between them? Here they are. A motorbike rider asks Ashley to take his picture. She takes two. Are they identical? There are three differences, actually. In the hotel, Ashley meets an opera diva, Esmeralda, who's having a world tour. She has visited almost all the countries, and she has finally arrived at the last one.
Oh, no.
In the morning, a maid finds Esmeralda unconscious in her room. The police arrive and find out that Esmeralda was poisoned. They question the suspects. Esmeralda's husband says, "She wanted to be in bed early, so I went to the lobby for the night." Esmeralda's manager says, "I was in my room all evening. I was preparing for the concert." And the hotel waitress says, "I only brought her juice in the evening. She was fine." The police check fingerprints in the room and find many prints on the glass. Who poisoned Esmeralda? It was the manager. She said she didn't leave the room, but there are prints on the glass. In the morning, Ashley is having her next flight, but her taxi breaks on the way. She's stuck at the gas station 50 miles away from the airport. Three drivers stop, offering to give Ashley a ride. Which car would you choose? The first car is stolen, and the third driver is a runaway criminal, so Ashley should choose the second car. Ashley returns home and puts all her cash into her stash as usual. The next evening, she returns home and realizes that someone had stolen her money. How did she guess? Ashley's cash was in the globe. Its parts don't match anymore. Somebody opened it when Ashley was out. Brooklyn stayed home alone for a week because her family went on vacation. On Tuesday, she discovers that she only has 4 breakfast buns left. She doesn't like grocery shopping alone, so she cuts them in half. How many breakfast buns does Brooklyn have now? Brooklyn might now have 8 pieces, but it's still just 4 buns. Mrs. Palmer has 3 daughters, Iris, Lily, and Rose. She's about to have another girl. What do you think she'll name her? Alice, Hannah, or Poppy? Mrs. Bell seems to choose names of flowers, so she'll probably name the girl Poppy. Penelope went to the doctor, and the doctor gave her 3 pills that she should take every hour. How much time will pass from taking the first pill to the last pill? Just 2 hours. Penelope will take a pill, then she'll take a second pill in 1 hour, and the third pill 1 hour after that. So, just 2 hours will pass. Kennedy was exploring an old part of the city and got trapped in some basement. She found 3 ways out, but none of them seemed safe. Behind the first door, there is a room constructed from magnifying glass. The blazing hot sun outside will instantly fry anything or anyone that enters. Behind the second door, there's a lava floor that melts anything. Behind the third door, there's a room filled with poisonous gas that burns the skin. How can Kennedy escape? Kennedy should wait until night and then walk out the first door. Amy goes hiking alone and gets lost. She only has 2 options: to spend a night in a zombie town or in Werewolf Village. What should she choose? She should stay in the werewolf village. Take a look at the sky. The moon is not full, so the villagers are not dangerous. Madeline is a designer. She lives in a one-story house in a city suburb. She has a small garden, and everything in her house is made entirely of redwood because it's her favorite material. What color do you think the stairs in her house are? It's a tricky question. You should remember that she lives in a one-story house, so she simply doesn't have any stairs there. Okay, here's a little riddle for you to think. I have 1,000 ribs, but only 2 backbones. What am I? It's a railroad track. Can you think of a situation when 8 plus 8 equals 4? Yes, it's true when we talk about time. If it's 8 o'clock, then in 8 hours, it'll be 4. Ruby and Scarlet are sisters, and they always play tricks on one another. Today, Ruby came to Scarlet and said, "I'll bet you $1 that if you give me $2, I will give you $3 in return." Should Scarlet accept the bet? No, she shouldn't, because even if she wins the bet, she'll lose the money. Ruby might take $2 and say, "I lose the bet. I won't give you $3. She will have to return Scarlet $1, but Scarlet will keep the other dollar. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. Instead, he found a witch's house, walked in, patted a cat, and asked the witch to take her home. But the witch had a problem, and she asked Esme to help her. Last week, the witch bought a rabbit. The seller told her that the rabbits breed every month and delivers 5 rabbits with 60% chance and 7 rabbits with 40% chance. How many rabbits will the witch have in a year? Well, that's a tricky question. It takes 2 rabbits to breed, so unless the witch gets a second one, she'll still have just 1. Which of the following statements are true and which are false? 1. Only one of the statements is false. 2. 2 of the statements are false. 3. 3 of the statements are false. 4. 4 of the statements are false. 5. All 5 of these statements are false. Since they all contradict one another, only one of them is true, and the other 4 are false. The only statement that reflects it is statement number 4, so that's the correct one. One night a year, Santa Claus stays in his workshop on the North Pole and goes to places to deliver presents. Which direction does he travel first? Santa lives on the North Pole, and wherever you go, the only way to travel from there is south. Ellery has a cat. Her friend asked her how old the cat was. And here's what she replied. In 2 years, the cat will be twice as old as she was 5 years ago. How old is Ellery's cat? The cat is 12 years old. Esme was having a walk in a forest and got lost. After wandering around for a while, she found the house of a witch and asked her to take her home. The witch shrugged and gave her a bottle with a key in it. The key will open this door, and the door will take you home. Take it out, but there are 2 rules. You can't pull the cork, and you can't break the bottle. How can Esme get the key? Esme should push the cork inside the bottle and then take out the key. Now I'll show you some photos, and your task is to figure out what's wrong with them. Ready?
Yeah.
Here's the first one. There are strawberries growing on the tree. That's not right. What about this one? Do you see a mistake? It's ancient times, but this guy right there is talking on the phone. This can't be true. Next one. Keep your eyes wide open. Do you see what's wrong in this picture? Did you pay attention to the traffic light and its colors? There's purple color instead of green. That's the mistake. Just a couple of more. Don't give up. Anything odd you can spot right here? It's night, but there's the sun in the sky. That's odd. Okay, and the last one here for you, the hardest one. Can you see a mistake in this photo? This woman doesn't get reflected in the mirror. Is it a mistake, or is she just a vampire? Ava, Beth, and Chloe are best students in class, and they are participating in the end of a semester tournament. Here's how the rules go. Before hearing the question, a girl chooses a target, one of the other two girls. Then the question is read, and the girl gives her answer. If the answer is correct, the target gets eliminated. If the answer is wrong, then the turn goes to the next participant, who will then choose her target and will get her question, and so on. A subject was drawn randomly. History. Ava isn't very good in history, and her odds of giving the right answer are 1 in 3. Beth is a bit better, and her odds are 2 out of 3. Chloe is a history ace, and her odds of responding correctly are 3 out of 3. Everyone knows each other's odds. To be fair, Ava starts, and then the turn will pass to Beth, then to Chloe, and then back to Ava, and so on, until there's one last person left. What should be Ava's strategy to have higher chances of winning? Ava should give the wrong answer, even if she knows the correct answer. Then, the turn will pass to Beth. Beth will most likely target Chloe, because she has better odds in the game. If Beth manages to eliminate Chloe, then it's just Ava and Beth left, and Ava's turn and a chance to win. If Beth doesn't eliminate Chloe, then it's Chloe's turn, who will most likely target Beth, and will definitely eliminate her, since her odds are 3 out of 3. Even though Ava will have to go against Chloe at the end, it's still a better situation because she for sure makes it to the second round safely, and will then go first with her shot.
It's the holiday season, but some evil force is doing its best to spoil the mood. No one knows what this force is or why it's ruining the holidays. That's when Detective Robinson comes into play. Help him crack these riddles to save the day. The first task brings the detective to the North Pole. Someone has been stealing Santa's cookies, which he keeps in the reindeer stables. Santa suspects that the criminal is one of his elves who works there, but he's also worried because all of them are allergic to chocolate, and the disappearing cookies are chocolate chip ones. Detective Robinson gathers all the elves in one room. One of them keeps sticking out his tongue and then blushing and apologizing. The second elf has traces of something brown on his hands. And the third elf keeps smiling and giggling. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which one is the thief. The guy with the brownish spots on his fingers works in the stables, so no wonder his hands are dirty. Elves are cheerful creatures, which means that a smiling and giggling elf is not actually an unusual occurrence. But the first elf, his tongue is likely swollen as a result of an allergic reaction. Here's our cookie thief. 3 teenagers sneak into Santa's home. When he comes home after work, he sees 3 guilty-looking kids and his 20-foot-tall plastic Christmas tree lying on the floor. Santa knows that one of the kids must have climbed the tree, which made it fall over. He calls our detective. Chris immediately arrives. After looking at the kids attentively, he tells Santa who is guilty. Can you figure it out too? This guy with green hair looks as if he has some Christmas tree needles in his hair. But don't forget that the tree is plastic and can't lose any needles. The guy on the left has a star on his sweater that looks like the one at the top of the tree. But look, it's embroidered. Now, look at this girl with a pretty sparkly scarf. It looks suspiciously similar to tinsel decorating the Christmas tree. That's because it is tinsel. Busted! While the detective and Santa are away, solving the mystery of the overturned Christmas tree, someone steals all the presents from Santa's warehouse. After investigating the case, Detective Robinson has 3 suspects. All of them are elves. Each of the elves claims he was at home when the crime happened. The road is impossible to navigate on foot since it's been snowing for the last several hours. So, whoever did this had to use a sleigh. Can you help Chris figure out who the criminal is? This elf looks pretty angry, but it might be because his sleigh is broken. It means he couldn't have left his home. The sleigh of the elf on the right is covered with a thick layer of snow. It's unlikely that he used it recently, but look at the sleigh of the elf in the middle. There's snow under it. It means that the sleigh was parked near the house after the snow had already started falling. The elf wasn't at home, so why is he lying? One of Santa's elves put the key to the warehouse where Santa keeps presents into an empty bottle and plugged it with a cork. Detective Robinson needs to remove the key without breaking the bottle or pulling out the cork. How can he do it? Chris pushed the cork inside the bottle and shook the key out. Detective Robinson's next task is unusual to say the least. He needs to go to a haunted gingerbread mansion and face one of 3 horrifying monsters. They've taken up residence in the tasty but currently unapproachable house. Chris's potential opponents are 1. A 7-foot-tall reanimated Christmas turkey. It's threatening the detective with knives and looks extremely unfriendly. 2. A scorching hot eggnog monster that looks like a moving pile of slime. 3. Or a menacing-looking 8-foot-tall candy cane creature with long, sharp limbs? Help the detective make the right choice. The turkey can be very dangerous with those knives. The candy cane monster's limbs are too sharp to come close to it. As for eggnog, besides being very hot, it doesn't pose any serious danger. The detective just needs to push the monster towards the gingerbread wall and it will absorb the creature very fast. Santa has an unusual problem. One of his elves has just had his birthday, but Santa can't remember how old he's turned. The elf doesn't want to make the task easier. He says,
"The day before yesterday, I was 34. The next year, I'll be 37.
It sounds strange, but the elf hasn't made any mistakes in his calculations. Santa definitely needs Detective Robinson's help. The elf's birthday is on December 31st, and he's talking about it with Santa on January 1st. The day before his birthday, he was 34. The next day, he turned 35. A new year started the next day. This year, he's going to turn 36, and he will be 37 the following year. No day without an accident. One young elf decided to play a prank on Santa and hid the presents behind one of these two doors. Detective Robinson knows that one of the doors hides a very unfriendly dragon, and behind the other, there are presents. He needs to pick the right door, otherwise the holiday is spoiled. There are two signs on the doors. One of them is a lie, and the other is true. On the first door, it's written, "The presents are here. The dragon is in the next room." The other sign says, "The presents and the dragon aren't in the same room." Can you help the detective figure out where the presents are? The presents are in the second room. The second statement is true, which means that the first one is false. After a long working day, Santa comes home and finds out that someone has broken all the glass decorations on his Christmas tree. He's shocked and upset. He calls Detective Robinson and tells him he has two suspects. One of them is one of his reindeer. Santa saw him near his house 2 hours ago. The other suspect is an elf Santa scolded. Look at the scene and help the detective determine the criminal. Look at the footprints the criminal left on the floor. They're too big and don't belong either to the deer or the elf. They actually look like they belong to Santa himself. But why would he need to frame his workers? This case makes Detective Robinson very suspicious. He starts observing Santa. Soon, Santa invites him for dinner and offers him 3 dishes to choose from. Since Chris is already wary of Santa, he examines the dishes very attentively. Look at them and say which dish is safe to eat. These chocolate chip cookies look fine until you notice that these chocolate chips are actually bugs. The steam rising over this bowl of soup is suspiciously green. This dish is likely poisoned. The only safe option is apples. Look at this tiny worm. If it can munch through the apple, it's most likely okay to eat. So, does it mean Santa wanted to get rid of Chris after the detective started to suspect something? This Santa can't be the real one. After Detective Robinson finds out that the mysterious evil force spoiling the holidays has been the fake Santa all along, he starts searching for the real Santa. Soon, he comes across a basement with 3 doors. Behind each of them, there's a man dressed as Santa and claiming to be the real one. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which Santa is real. It's Santa on the left! Hopefully you paid attention to the photo on the wall. It depicts Santa with his reindeer. If we compare the photo with all Santas, only the one on the left is absolutely the same. Alfred wants to be a supermodel, so he visits a fancy audition in New York, hoping for the best. There's a line of his rivals standing in the lobby. One of them is not from this planet. Can you guess who? This guy with the snake eyes. Daisy the photographer invites Alfred to her studio to take some shots. After a couple of days, she receives printed pictures and freaks out. Why? Take a look at Alfred's body in this picture. Both of his feet are right. Amazingly, Alfred gets his dream job. A famous magazine invited him to shoot their cover. He arrives at the studio early to get ready. Before the start of the photo shoot, Alfred looks in the mirror. Gross! There's an allergic rash all over his face. Alfred interrogates 3 suspects. The assistant says, "I was told you're allergic to peanuts and berries, So we've prepared only safe snacks. The makeup artist says, I didn't touch your food. I put on your makeup and left for a coffee break. And the cleaning lady says, I know how sensitive models are. That's why I only use organic, hypoallergenic cleaning products. Can you guess who's guilty of Alfred's allergy? The makeup artist. Even though she didn't have access to his food, she was the only one who had access to his face, and she could put toxins in his makeup. Alfred gets hired as a model for a clothing catalog. He's asked to put on these trendy jeans. Can you count the exact number of holes in this piece of clothing? These 2 holes go through the pant legs, so in fact, these are 4 holes, not 2. As for this hole, it's only on the front of the leg, plus 1 hole. But that's not all. These jeans also have 3 more holes, 2 on the bottom of the pant legs and 1 on the belt. So the correct answer is 8. Alfred stayed late in the studio to write a post, and now he's finally going home. He walks along the dark hall of the office building. Suddenly, Alfred hears someone screaming for help. The voice comes from the broom locker. He opens the door. Daisy, who closed you here? Daisy replies, I have no idea. I went to the 8th floor to eat in a Chinese restaurant, but it was closed for maintenance all day. So I decided to go home. Then, someone put a garbage bag on my head and locked me in here. In the morning, Alfred interrogates 5 suspects. The cleaner says, I was washing the windows on the 8th floor. The makeup artist says, I was cleaning my brushes in the bathroom. The assistant says, I was helping the makeup artist, but I went home earlier. The stylist says, I had dinner in the local Chinese restaurant and then went to a concert. And the cameraman says, I was sick yesterday, so I went home early. Who locked up Daisy? The stylist. The Chinese restaurant was closed yesterday. The 6 friends get trapped inside the cave. Unfortunately, they had left all the food in the camp. That's why they're starving while waiting for the rescue group to arrive. Suddenly, Alfred finds 5 cookies in his pocket. Can you find the easiest way to divide these 5 cookies among 6 people equally? They should split the first 3 cookies in half and divide the remaining 2 cookies into 3 parts. This way, each person will get 1/2 and 1/3 of a cookie. Alfred returns from his vacation and checks his email. He sees 3 new job offers. Francis invites Alfred to participate in New York Fashion Week. Julia offers good money for a shampoo commercial. And Crystal offers him to be the face of a famous clothing brand. One of these employers is a scammer. Can you guess who? Crystal. The spelling of the brand Gucci is wrong. Alfred arrives at the shampoo commercial filming spot. He enters the dressing room and sees his actress partner, Amber. She has a short, messy haircut. Amber yells, I took a 30-minute nap and someone has cut my beautiful long hair. Alfred asks 3 suspects one question. What were you doing the last 30 minutes? The makeup artist says, I was streaming a backstage video for my followers. The guard replies, my coffee break started 30 minutes ago, so I went to the vending machine and bought hot chocolate. But then I received an assignment to catch a stranger with scissors. I kicked him out and returned to my workplace. And the stylist says, oh, I spent the last 20 minutes in the toilet. I shouldn't have eaten seafood for breakfast. Can you help Alfred spot the liar? It's the guard. He bought the hot chocolate 30 minutes ago, but why is it still hot? Alfred arrives at the Fashion Week. He's staying in a hotel with a roommate, Billy. Alfred takes a brief look at Billy's suitcase and spots 3 weird details right away. Can you see them too? Why does he need the shaving cream if he uses an electric razor? The book title is printed upside down, and there's no pair to this sock. Alfred goes to a fancy party full of celebrities. 4 guys want to impress him. They learn that Alfred was born in Australia, so they come up to him, tell their stories, and show some pictures. Jake says, "I'm so excited to go on a road trip around Australia this summer." Peter says, "I'm a travel blogger. Last summer in Arizona, I got some great kangaroo shots." Will says, "I'm a super broke guy. I've only been to New Jersey so far." And Oliver says, "I donate money for charity projects in Australia. Once, I saved a little koala." Who's lying? Peter. Kangaroos only live in Australia. Alfred leaves the party. But suddenly, he finds out that he had left his phone in the club. He returns and questions 3 people standing nearby. The waiter says, "I was busy with my orders. I didn't see anything." The cleaner says, "I think I saw your phone on the sofa. But when I looked there again, it was already gone." And the manager says, "There are no phones in our lost and found office." Who took Alfred's phone? The waiter. She has Alfred's phone case hidden in her boot. The next morning, Alfred enters the gym. He takes a look around and freaks out. Why? This lady is not from this planet. She has a completely transparent belly. Alfred is now wealthy enough to afford a new apartment. He locks all his documents and money in a safe that he found inside his bedroom, but now he can't open it. Alfred finds a list of codes nearby, but he doesn't know which one is correct. Can you help him figure out the code? These buttons are used a lot, but only the 3rd combination includes all these numbers. Alfred goes to his granny and spends holidays in the country. There, he meets his school friend, Dan. They haven't been talking for years. Dan begins to boast. "I've become a famous blogger. My videos on YouTube get millions of views." Dan shows Alfred a video from his channel, but Alfred looks at the video and immediately realizes that Dan is lying. How? The gap between likes and views is too huge. It's impossible. Dan just took a screenshot and changed the numbers in Photoshop. Kitty runs a dance show. She arrives in Finland with the 3 best dancers to perform during the Christmas holidays. On the first day of their trip, Kitty was found unconscious in the hotel room. Doctors claim that someone had poisoned her. The police interrogate all the dancers. Kira says, "My colleagues and I left the hotel early in the morning to explore the city, and Kitty stayed in the room for a conference call. I had a date with my online boyfriend, Mikkel." Pam says, "I went to the beach to sunbathe and swim. When I returned, I saw Kitty on the floor." And April says, "I went to the museum alone. Nobody wanted to join me." Who's lying? Pam. It's Christmas Eve, so it's too cold in Finland. She couldn't swim in the sea.
Oh no!
The police arrested Pam, and now Kira and April urgently need to find a new dancer for their show. They look through some profiles online and select these 3 ladies, Deborah, Sally, and Lily. But only one of them isn't fake. Can you guess who? Deborah's profile looks good, but take a closer look at the shadow in her picture. Her head is photoshopped to a different person's body, therefore, she's fake. And according to the 3rd lady's birth date, she hasn't been born yet, so they should choose Sally. April, Kira, and Sally are performing in a music hall, but first, they go to the dressing room to prepare. Suddenly, the local security guard comes in and announces, "Stay where you are! We have to recheck all the luggage! There's a runaway criminal among the actors!" Here's the luggage left by 4 guys who are playing Santas. Can you spot the criminal? Santa never shaves, so the second luggage looks pretty suspicious because it has shaving cream. The remaining 3 Santas open their performance. They look absolutely identical in their costumes. After the show, they go backstage and take off their beards and hats to drink some coffee. This is Carl, Peter, and George. After the break, they put on the costumes again and go to the after party. Can you decide which one of them is Carl? Carl was mixing sugar in his coffee with his left hand. It means that he's left-handed. And this Santa signs an autograph with his left hand. Therefore, he's Carl. After work, Kira and April go to the local parade. Can you help them find a sheep among all these Santas? There it is. What about these reindeers? Can you see any bears among them? Hello? Kira and April enter a shopping mall and face 4 Santas buying gifts for their families. Meanwhile, the mall security guard receives a call from the police. A mysterious thief in a Santa suit has robbed multiple gift shops. They figured out that this mall should be next. The guard asked everybody to stay where they are. Can you help him find the criminal? It's the 3rd Santa. He's hiding a couple of crowbars in his bag. Also, his beard and mustache are different from the other Santas. Kira and April decide to throw a party in the hotel room. April decorates the room and sets up the Christmas tree. Meanwhile, Kira cooks dinner and prepares gifts for 3 people, Thomas, Sally, and Mikkel. The guests arrive and the party begins. At some point, they notice that someone has stolen all the gifts. Kira believes it must be one of the guests, so she questions everyone. Every guest makes 2 statements, 1 truth and 1 lie. Thomas says, "I wasn't in the room when it happened. I know Mikkel stole the gifts." Sally says, "Mikkel stole them. I saw it. I already have enough presents." And finally, Mikkel says, "I didn't steal the gifts." Thomas tells the truth. He wasn't in the room. Who stole the Christmas gifts? If Thomas is the thief, both of his statements would have been false, and if Mikkel is the thief, then all of Thomas's statements would have been true. Therefore, Sally stole the gifts. Frank is staying in a hotel room next to Kira. The day before Christmas Eve, she knocks on his door to borrow some toothpaste. The door is open, and Frank is lying unconscious on the floor. Later that day, doctors figured out that he was poisoned. Kira questions 3 people. All of them are Frank's roommates. Jeff says, "Today I've had dinner with my girlfriend. I only saw Frank in the morning, and he was feeling great." Thomas says, "We had breakfast with Frank in his room this morning. He was in a great mood." And Ellie says, "I've just returned. I had to buy gifts for my family, so I've been shopping all day." Who poisoned Frank? The screensaver is out of date. Frank left a hint with his enemy's name. It was Thomas. Kira, April, Mikkel, and Frank rent a cozy country house to celebrate Christmas. April bakes gingerbread men cookies and leaves them to cool down on the kitchen table. She hasn't applied the frosting yet. So, she asks the others to stay away from the cookies. April goes upstairs to change. In 10 minutes, she returns and sees that someone took a bit off every cookie. April gets furious. She asks the others,
What were you doing within the last 10 minutes?
Mikkel replies, I was building a snowman outside. I have no idea what was going on in the house. Frank says, I was decorating the Christmas tree with these balls. And Kira replies, I was watching my favorite movie in the bedroom. It was so loud that I didn't hear anything. April already knows who's lying. What about you? Frank is lying. There is no balls on the tree. Santa comes home earlier and finds his elf Bobby on the sofa. He's bewitched by an eternal sleep spell. Santa asks the other elf, Chuck, a question.
What happened here? Only you two were at home.
Chuck replies,
We were packing the gifts and decided to have a lunch break. Suddenly, I heard a loud sound outdoors and ran out to see what was up. I spent about 20 minutes there, and then I returned back home. Bobby was already unconscious.
Santa calls Chuck a liar. Why? Chuck said he spent 20 minutes outdoors, but the coffee cups are still hot. He bewitched Bobby and staged the scene. Kira comes home to her family's house. She's looking forward to eating the walnut cookies she bought at the airport, but she has to eat them outside because her mother is allergic to all types of nuts. After a while, Kira looks inside her bag and sees that all the cookies are gone. Kira suspects her brothers, so she asks,
Who ate my cookies?
Dylan replies, I was making apple pie with Mom. Paul says, I was decorating the living room. Kevin says,
I was making a sandwich with peanut butter for Mom.
And Ralph says, I was just watching the TV and eating my popcorn. Now Kira knows who took her cookies. What about you? Kevin is lying. They have the same mother, and as we mentioned earlier, she's allergic to all nuts. During the family dinner, Dylan receives an email and begins to cry. Kira asks, What's wrong? Dylan replies, I'm a beginner photographer, and I've sent my best picture to the photo contest. I was expecting to win the first prize, but they disqualified me. Can you figure out why just by looking at this picture? The stars are over the moon. It's impossible. Kira is looking for her mother all over the house, but someone used black magic to turn her into a statue. There's a note nearby. It only has a question mark written with green pencil. Kira decides to question the Green family next door. Zelda says, I was painting in the attic as usual. Oliver says, I was cooking soup for my family. Mark says, I was looking for my missing cat downtown. And Wanda says, I was playing video games in the basement and heard nothing. Who cursed Kira's mom? The clue literally says, question mark green.